Let's see. Hit the like button as you tune. Hit the like button as you come in. Wait, what's going on? Supposed to be on already. Oh, okay. Hit the like button as you come in. I'm trying to get this stuff set up. Let's see. Today is Friday. And we got football games coming on this weekend. I'm thinking that the first games come on today. That's what I'm thinking. But will Trump and Putin really meet and end the war? That's the discussion of the day. Let me get back here. Appreciate y'all for joining me. I'm your host, the one only Stock Sniper. I missed yesterday, but I couldn't miss today. Today is Friday, and the end of the week. And I will be going live for the football games. I know it's a game. Matter of fact, let me look that up right now. I'm gonna see if any football games coming on today. Wait, I'm gonna look that up on my phone. Yeah, I'm gonna look up to see if any football games coming on today. Let's see. I know we got a lot of football fans out there. Let's see. Yep. We got games coming on today. And tomorrow. All right. So we finally getting football crunk up, guys. Football is finally going to crank up. So back to business. Let's see what this mayor is going to be talking about. This mayor candidate is going to be talking about. First, let me check out to see. Okay, we still got a little bit to go before the stock market open. So good timing. Okay, let's see and react to this guy. Appreciate y'all for joining me. Hit the like button.
It is knowledge that disappoints us, and yet it does not surprise us, because it builds on a history that we have seen with this former governor. A history of trying to hide that which he knows is offensive to the values of this city from the people of this city. We see that with this call itself. Something that took place many weeks ago, and yet it took the New York Times to share this with New Yorkers. We know that this former governor has very little regard, whether it be for the Democratic Party, the democratic process, or for Democrats themselves, because he would rather look past having been beaten by close to 13 points by a campaign that amassed more votes than any Democratic primary winner in New York City history, to the extent that he would actually have a conversation with the very president who is stealing food from the hungry, who is throwing New Yorkers and Americans from coast to coast off of their health care, and doing so all in service of yet another significant wealth transfer between those who do not have enough in their pocket to those who have more than they know what to do with. We know.
That's why it's very important to start investing. It's very important to start investing. If you have to cut down on your spending on the things that you don't need, that's why it's very important to start investing.
We know that Andrew Cuomo will sell working people out for his interests, for the interests of the billionaires that supported him, for the interests of Donald Trump. because all of those interests are lining up as one and the same. It is time for us to say enough. It is time for us to make clear that what this city deserves is a mayor who, when he sees Donald Trump attacking the people of this city, will stand up and fight back against that vision. Will not get on the phone with the architect of that vision to speak about a race that we already know should be a referendum on how to make the most expensive city in the United States of America affordable, not a question of how we can install yet another ambassador for Washington, D.C. in City Hall. I am surrounded by New Yorkers for whom this cost is lived every single day, for whom this question and this decision to get on the phone with Donald Trump has a significant and tangible impact on their lives and the lives of those that they serve. And as we stand here at Federal Plaza, I do so knowing that it's just blocks from here where I got my citizenship, where I was sworn in as an American in this city that I was raised in, and knowing that if Donald Trump is to act upon his threats to denaturalize me, it will likely take place right at this plaza. The job of mayor is not to audition to be the jester for a want-to-be king. It is to be the person that stands up for the values of this city, for the fabric of this city, and for the people of this city. And that is what I am running to do. I am so thankful to have been joined by such incredible leaders in organized labor. And I would like to begin by calling up Nadine Williamson from 1199 to share more with us as to the cost of this kind of a decision.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nadine Williamson. I am Senior Executive Vice President of 1199 SEIU, and I'm here on behalf of Yvonne Armstrong and Veronica Turner-Biggs, proudly representing 400,000 healthcare workers who keep this city alive, literally keep this city alive. And today, we are not here to whisper, we are here to roar. Let's be clear, we're putting the full muscle of the largest union in New York behind Zohran Mamdani, a candidate who didn't just enter this race, he ignited it. His campaign hasn't just caught fire, it's become a full-blown movement, a movement of workers, immigrants, nurses, techs, and janitors. We live in the richest city, in the richest country in the world. Yet somehow folks are still skipping meals, drowning in rent, and being sent home from overcrowded ERs. Make it make sense. That's why Zohran's vision matters. It's bold, it's urgent, and it's unapologetic. He's not here to patch up the status quo. He's here to replace it. And we appreciate that. And guess what? The people in power are nervous. How do we know? Because Donald Trump and his right-wing sidekicks are poking their noses into New York politics. Trump should stay out of this town. He should not try to meddle in New York City politics. Meanwhile, his party just yanked $1 trillion from Medicaid to line the pockets of the rich. That's not policy, that's robbery. And now our hospitals are understaffed, our members are watching their colleagues disappear in deportation raids, and our communities are living in fear, in constant fear. Let's call it what it is, cruelty. Cruelty in a suit and in a tie. Anyone standing with that agenda or staying silent while it happens is complicit. New York is a union town. That's why us at 1199 and my brothers and sisters at 32BJ are here. We're a town that knows how to fight, organize, and win. And when we elect Zohran Mamdani as our next mayor, we won't be flipping a seat, we'll be flipping the script away from billionaires, away from everything that they're doing now. And we're going to focus on who built this city and who kept it running every day. Let's make history. Let's make noise. Thank you all and have a good day.
Thank you so much. Can we hear for 1199 and Nadine? Before we move to our next speaker, I also want to recognize Naisna, the incredible members that we have here. From so many of the nurses that keep New Yorkers safe and alive every single day. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to a dear friend and a leader in our labor movement, Candace from 32 BJ.
32 BJ! 32 BJ! 32 BJ!
Good afternoon, everyone.
I'll come back here, guys.
Executive Vice President.
I'll come back to that.
Sit down and then
Great. Appreciate y'all for joining me. I'm your host, the one on the Stock Sniper.
I'm sorry.
This guy, JD Vance.
No, I'm good.
Speaking.
So is there a name for this room?
It's the drawing room.
It's the drawing room, okay.
Hold up, guys.
All right, it does seem that the speed we are using from our content partners over at Reuters has frozen, but that's okay. We are getting another feed. I'm going to transition there now.
They having technical difficulties, guys. Just hold up. They're going to get it straight. We got JD Vance meeting with the UK Foreign Secretary. Come on, y'all. Let's get the volume down. Get the volume together. That's not me, guys. That's them.
All right, you can see this live event is underway, but we are having some audio issues. What we're going to do, step aside for another break, just so we can regroup and recap this feed and then bring it back to you. We will bring it back on a delay. That way you won't miss any of the remarks.
Okay. All right, let's go back to where we were.
That wants to roll back our country's hard-fought for worker rights protections. Trump is undermining our nation's democracy. We won't let that happen here in New York City. We have sued this administration and have continued to take to the streets to advance a politics that puts actual For decades, 32BJ has fought for the city that families can afford. Zohran Mamdani has united and inspired New Yorkers around a positive, optimistic vision for a truly affordable New York City. He is ready and equipped to fight for a city and has made clear that he is ready to stand up against Donald Trump. We thank Zohran for all of his efforts. We support him 100%, and we thank you for convening this effort to show that New York City is not for sale, and we are united against Trump's administration. And we know when we fight,
we win.
When we fight,
we win.
When we fight,
we
going to turn it over to the guy that's going to win because he's a fighter.
When we fight, we win.
Okay, we're going to take on-topic questions. So
When
we'll
we
start with
fight,
Pandas.
we win.
A two-parter here. What do you think Trump could actually do in this race that would help Andrew Cuomo or another candidate? He hasn't necessarily made up his mind. Like in a city where only 30% of people voted for him, what could he possibly do? And secondarily, if he were to call you, would you take the call? I don't know. And has he called you? I don't know.
Donald Trump has not called me. I've said that my approach to Washington will not be a reflexive one. It is one that will be in opposition to Donald Trump's administration when it comes for New Yorkers, when it comes at the expense of the welfare of the people that I am seeking to serve. If the president and the administration is looking to work for the benefit of New Yorkers, which is what he spent so much of his campaign speaking about, that is a different conversation. If he wants to actually act upon the cheaper groceries that he told us he would deliver, that is a different conversation. But what threatens the president so much about my campaign, our movement, is the fact that it showcases the way in which he's betrayed the very people that we are seeking to serve. He ran a campaign about affordability. He ran a campaign about cost of living. And those same New Yorkers, those same Americans, do not find the necessity of their life any more in reach than they were before the presidential election. And our commitment, it is in contrast to his because it's sincere. It's one that we will actually deliver on.
If he called, would you pick up and talk to him? I just would it be an obvious conversation?
I will tell Donald Trump the same thing I'm telling you right now. That's what marks me different than Andrew Cuomo. Whatever I say on a sidewalk, I say in a press conference, I say in a boardroom. It's the same agenda, it's fighting for the same people, and I will make that case to everyone. What I will not do, however, is pick up the phone to call Donald Trump to ask how we could work together to defeat the will of Democrats across this city. That's what Andrew Cuomo did.
Zohran, one second.
That's right, yeah.
Gloria, over here.
President Trump on a weekly basis, and I am doing the same with Secretary of State Rubio or Vice President Vance. And the truth is, what we all want to see is a ceasefire. What we all want to see are the hostages come out. And we are hugely concerned by the humanitarian suffering that we're seeing in Gaza particularly. So it is bringing that to an end that we want to see. I am concerned about what is developing in Gaza at this time and the recent decision by the cabinet, and hugely concerned, as I think a lot of Israeli people are, about the impact, particularly on the hostages, and we'll be able to discuss these issues in the hours ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, President. Thank you very much. Have you learned anything from each other?
I learned a lot from him. Thanks.
So we were having some audio difficulties as they were as well. You can see the
Beautiful.
United and inspired New Yorkers around a positive, optimistic vision for a truly affordable New York City. He is ready and equipped to fight for a city and has made clear that he is ready to stand up against Donald Trump.
Horrible.
We thank Zohran for all of his efforts. We support him 100%, and we thank you for convening this effort to show that New York City is not for sale, and we are united against Trump's administration. And we know when we fight,
we win.
When we fight,
we win.
When we fight,
we win.
And now we're going to turn it over to the guy that's going to win because he's a fighter.
Thank you. We're going to take on-topic questions. So we'll start with Nick Fandos.
Okay, I've got a two-parter here. What do you think Trump could actually do in this race that would help Andrew Cuomo or another candidate? He hasn't necessarily made up his mind. Like in a city where only 30% of people voted for him, what could he possibly do? And secondarily, if he were to call you, would you take the call? I don't know. And has he called you? I don't know.
Donald Trump has not called me. I've said that my approach to Washington will not be a reflexive one. It is one that will be in opposition to Donald Trump's administration when it comes for New Yorkers, when it comes at the expense of the welfare of the people that I am seeking to serve. If the president and the administration is looking to work for the benefit of New Yorkers, which is what he spent so much of his campaign speaking about, that is a different conversation. If he wants to actually act upon the cheaper groceries that he told us he would deliver, that is a different conversation. But what threatens the president so much about my campaign, our movement, is the fact that it showcases the way in which he's betrayed the very people that we are seeking to serve. He ran a campaign about affordability. He ran a campaign about cost of living. And those same New Yorkers, those same Americans, do not find the necessity of their life any more in reach than they were before the presidential election. And our commitment, it is in contrast to his because it's sincere. It's one that we will actually deliver on.
If he called, would you pick up and talk with him? I assume you might share the message, but would it be an obvious, I'll have a conversation or no?
I will tell Donald Trump the same thing I'm telling you right now. That's what marks me different than Andrew Cuomo. Whatever I say on a sidewalk, I say in a press conference, I say in a boardroom. It's the same agenda, it's fighting for the same people, and I will make that case to everyone. What I will not do, however, is pick up the phone to call Donald Trump to ask how we could work together to defeat the will of Democrats across this city. That's what Andrew Cuomo did.
Zohran, one thing.
That's right, yeah.
Gloria, over here.
What would you say to Andrew Cuomo and his team who say that the president would cut through you like a hot butter knife? He said this during the debate. Or more specifically, that he's the one that has the experience and that your election would ultimately hurt Democrats across the nation. How would you respond to that criticism and their comments that they're apparently the only ones who can stand up against Trump?
My administration would be Donald Trump's worst nightmare. And you don't need to take me at my word or take Andrew Cuomo at his. You need to only look at the actions of the Trump administration since I won the Democratic primary. How else can you describe a president who has proposed denaturalizing the Democratic nominee of New York City? How else can you describe a president who has sought to entertain suggestions of deporting me, of arresting me, of taking control of the city over the will of New Yorkers? Those are the actions of a president who is afraid of the fact that I will actually deliver in a manner where he is simply betrayed. That is what we have to look at to understand that our campaign represents our city's best chance at not only fighting back against authoritarianism, but understanding that democracy is also under attack from within. We need only look at the example of the greatest mayor in New York City history, Fiorello LaGuardia, who said, "One cannot preach the virtues of self-governance and liberty to a starving people." In order for us to defeat this authoritarian movement, we also have to showcase the ability for our democracy, our city government, to meet the needs of a population of whom 1 in 4 are in poverty in the wealthiest city in the wealthiest country in the history of the world.
Yeah, Bloomer. Laura?
Hi. Sorry. Just to piggyback off Gloria's question, what do you say to people who maybe don't have a candidate in the race yet, who are nevertheless worried about the fact that you uniquely might make New York City more of a target for the Trump administration than it already is, and sort of inadvertently draw more attention and more attacks, more harassment, more defunding threats, etc. What's your response to that, and how could you combat that?
We have seen over the course of this current mayoral administration an example of what New Yorkers can win through a policy of collaboration and cowardice. And the examples we've seen are the stealing of more than $80 million from the city's bank account, are threats and realities of lawsuits against this city, and the passage of legislation that will throw more than 1 million New Yorkers by last estimate off of their health care, that will steal food from hungry New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs, that will seek to make an example of that which makes so many of us proud to be New Yorkers. And we know that the most effective way to take on Donald Trump is not through that cowardice, is not through that collaboration, it is through courage and conviction. We can see that in examples across the country and across the world. We need only follow that lead and showcase the ability for us to stand up for the very things that we say that we believe in. And that's what our campaign will show.
Josie?
Hey, how are you? I'm wondering if you think, we saw Mayor Adams' seemingly his approval rating tank as he cozied up to Trump. I'm wondering if you think this is good news for your campaign, that seemingly there's
I have thought of this much more through the context of what this means for our city, frankly, than what this means for our chances. We have been confident ever since we won a Democratic primary by close to 13 points after having been outspent by so many of the very billionaires that supported Donald Trump's return to the White House, all to advance Andrew Cuomo's mayoral campaign. What we are seeing in this moment is an attempt to bring us back to the politics of the past, a politics that, as you've noted, New Yorkers have rejected time and again. New Yorkers do not want a mayor who is working in tandem with the president to subvert the will of the people of this city. We are talking about a president who has not just had that conversation with Andrew Cuomo, but one who is being briefed regularly with polling of this race and who is asking Congresspeople as to what they think would be the best way to defeat our campaign. All of it comes back from the understanding that for Donald Trump, the victory that we would deliver for working class New Yorkers is one that threatens the very basis of so much of his politics. It is a politics of insincerity. It is a politics that we know not to trust, and yet it is a politics that preys upon the despair of so many across this country who are struggling to make ends meet.
We'll go to Ethan.
Hey, I think when it comes to, like, you know, when you actually get into office, how do you see yourself approaching dealing with Donald Trump? You know, you've had a lot of conversations with people and trying to win them over and bring them into your coalition. Would you try the same approach with him or something more adversarial?
I would make the same case that I make to each and every New Yorker. It is a case where if we can agree on who we're fighting for and what we'll deliver, I'm willing to work with anyone. You know, yesterday I was with Assemblymember Khalil Anderson in the Rockaways, and we were touring small businesses. And a woman came up to me and she said, "I'm a Republican. Will you speak to me as well?" I said, "Absolutely. This is a campaign for each and every New Yorker." She asked me, "What are you here for?" I said, "I'm here to share our plan to cut fines and fees for small businesses by 50%, to speak about investing tens of millions of dollars into the best teams that are supposed to assist businesses as they navigate through a bureaucracy, and yet only 3% of businesses utilize those services." And I spoke to her about the fact that city government's responsibility is to make life easier for New Yorkers. We do not ask who those New Yorkers vote for. We do not ask what party they belong to. We do not even ask if they vote at all. They are New Yorkers. And that is the responsibility that I will hold as a mayor, is to represent each and every one of them.
Yeah, Henry?
Hi, Zohran. How you doing? With this news, do you need to say to Leader Jeffries, Leader Schumer, Governor Hochul, time to get off the sideline and support me, and to put a button on something, because staff for Governor Hochul and President Trump himself denied this report that they spoke about this campaign? Do you believe both those men are lying?
I believe the New York Times over President Trump and Andrew Cuomo. And we've seen as of this morning that they stand by their reporting. I've appreciated the conversations that I've had, fruitful and productive ones, with Leader Jeffries, with Senator Schumer, with Governor Hochul. And I look forward to the partnership that we will continue to build for the benefit of people across this city and across this state. And to New Yorkers, what I will say is that we know the choices in front of us in this moment. Donald Trump functionally has 3 candidates in this race. One that he is directly conspiring with, another that he has bailed out of legal trouble and functionally controls, and the third, who is quite literally a member of the Republican Party. I am the Democratic nominee, thanks to the support of New Yorkers across these 5 boroughs, with the most votes of any Democratic primary nominee in the history of Democratic primaries in this city. And I take with that a confidence of how we will make our case and a belief in the values of this party, that they can finally deliver for the people of this city if we are willing to actually fight for them, not in the manner of Andrew Cuomo, who's willing to betray them all in service of his own ambition.
All right, we'll take one more. Yeah, right over here.
Hi, I'm Kayla Epstein with the BBC. We're out here outside 26 Federal Plaza. We see multiple detentions inside the city. You criticized that just now. I wondered, as mayor, if there are actions or policies specifically to take to change what's happening there now to address this policy you criticized.
We are standing at the site where New Yorkers have come for regular routine check-ins, thinking it just another that they have to go through, not knowing that they will not see their family again. New Yorkers who have been dragged, disappeared, and detained hundreds of miles away from the city that they call home. And there is a responsibility that we hold as leaders to make it clear that this is an attack on the entire fabric of this city, and also a political and technical responsibility to do all that which is in our power to stand up for those same New Yorkers. I have spoken about my commitment to hire 200 additional lawyers to ensure that the law department is at the same staffing levels it was at pre-pandemic, to create pay parity for those lawyers across city agencies so that no longer do we face the same retention crisis, to build upon the steps we're taking to provide legal representation for New Yorkers in deportation proceedings, because we know that by the mere act of providing legal representation, that New Yorker's chance of going home to their family increases 11-fold. And by my defense, a defense that I will stand by, of our sanctuary city policies. Policies which have kept this city safe for decades. Policies that have been defended by Republicans and Democrats alike. And yet the same policies which we are willing to sacrifice at the altar of Donald Trump, all in the name of giving away everything that we are proud of, in the hopes that this president does not look back at the city that he has made a focus of his administration, whether the first or the second.
Thank you guys so much.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what
That's the very latest out of New York City, mayors. And those by
Hey, what's up, everybody? I appreciate y'all for joining me. Let's get over here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. Hey, Kevin, how you doing? Hope everybody
There's a lot going on.
is having a great morning. Appreciate y'all for joining me on this Friday. We got football coming this weekend, which is great, starting tonight. So let's get ready for some football. Appreciate y'all for joining me. Here we go. Let's see what Vance and UK foreign
Going on in the world, of course, the situation in the Middle East, the situation with Ukraine and Russia. There's a lot of news there and a lot of things to update each other on. I believe that we're going to talk about our economic partnerships, both in technology, but also the broader shared economic relationship that we have, and we're so thrilled about that. But just on a personal note, I have to say that I really have become a good friend, and David has become a good friend of mine. And so it's great to spend some time here with him and his family. On the trip over here, my 3-year-old daughter in particular kept on asking if she was going to get to hang out with Maya. The answer, happily, was yes. And you've been very, very gracious host to me and the whole family. So we're very grateful to that. And to the people of England, I really love this country. And in particular, having never been to this beautiful house before and seen the surrounding area, I just say that the people who built it, the people who sustained it, I think really love the human spirit, and being here lifts up the human spirit. And so I feel, from one vice president to the people of England, thank you for having such a beautiful place for foreigners like me to come and talk about the issues of the day, because we really appreciate it and we're really thrilled to be here. So to David and your team, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you catch a fish, sir?
I caught a few, actually. Yeah, I don't want to brag, but we did okay.
Such good friends.
Well, you know, David, I guess when you were in opposition, right, and I had just gotten elected to the United States Senate, obviously we come from sort of different political spectrums, but he was kind enough to make time on a visit to D.C. We got to know each other a little bit then and just kept on seeing each other, and our families enjoy each other's company very much, which always helps. But we care about this relationship, and we care about the fact that though we're separated by an ocean, and I guess as Churchill said, by a common language, that we have a lot in common, and there's a lot to do.
LPS World. Thank you. May God bless you too. Hope you're having a great morning. Thank you.
And a lot to work on together. You know, David once said to me, this is probably a couple of years ago, that there's this feeling that the world is in a state of incredible tension. And I certainly felt that a couple of years ago. I think that the President of the United States over the last 6-7 months has done a lot to lower that tension, but there's a lot that the United Kingdom, the United States can do I think, to bring greater peace and greater stability to the world. And so we share that conviction, and that's made it easy for us to spend time together and work on the issues of the day.
Mr. Vice President, some big issues in the Middle East. What do you make of the UK's decision to recognise the state of Palestine? Do you think that's a bad decision?
Well, it's one of the things that we're going to talk about. Obviously, the United Kingdom is going to make its decision. We have no plans to recognize a Palestinian state. I don't know what it would mean to really recognize a Palestinian state, given the lack of a functional government there. You know, what the president has made very clear is our two goals are very simple right now vis-a-vis the situation in Israel and Gaza. Number one, we want to make it so that Hamas cannot attack innocent Israeli civilians ever again, and we think that has to come through the eradication of Hamas. Second, the president has been very moved by these terrible images of the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, so we want to make sure that we solve that problem. I think all of us can work on how to solve that problem. Obviously, it's not an easy problem to solve, or it would have already been dealt with, but we share, I think, that focus and that goal. We may have some disagreements about how exactly to accomplish that goal, and we'll talk about that today.
Mr. Vice President, what do you make of President Trump's comments last week about you the likely front runner in 2028?
I don't want to talk about lowly things like politics in this grand house. Come on. Look, I think my view on the politics of 2028 is I'm not really focused even on the election in 2026, much less 1-2 years after that. And if we do a good job for the American people, the politics will take care of itself. So I'm going to try to do a good job for the American people, just as David's trying to do a good job for the people of the UK.
Mr. Vice President, was the president given a heads up about Israel's intention to occupy Gaza City?
I'm not going to speak to private conversations between the Israeli government and our government. I think the president obviously has been very clear about his goals, about what he wants to accomplish in the Middle East, and he's going to keep on doing that. The president, as you know, speaks to these issues commonly. I'm sure that he'll talk at some point to the media about his response to what's happened or what was announced earlier today in Gaza. But our goals are very clear. We want to make it so that Hamas can't attack innocent people. We want to solve the humanitarian problems in Gaza. We're working incredibly hard, the president and the entire team, to make sure that happens. I mean, we've been in constant negotiations and conversations, even the last 24 hours, about how to get more aid into Gaza, about how to solve that humanitarian problem, and also how to get Hamas to a position where they can't continue to threaten the citizens and the civilians of Israel. So there's a lot of work to do there. There's a lot of common objectives here. There is some, I think, disagreement about how exactly to accomplish those common objectives. But look, it's a tough situation. Of course, we're not going to know exactly how to solve a very complicated problem. As the president has said himself, that people in some ways have been fighting for thousands of years. If it was easy to bring peace to that region of the world, it would have been done already.
Mr. Vice President, you've expressed some concerns in the past about free speech in the United Kingdom and Europe more broadly. Do you bring any kind of a message to the Foreign Secretary today on that subject?
Well, I'd say I've raised concerns about free speech in the United States of America. I think the entire collective West, the transatlantic relationship, our NATO allies, certainly the United States under the Biden administration, got a little too comfortable with censoring rather than engaging with a diverse array of opinions. So that's been my view. Obviously, I've raised some criticism and concerns about our friends on this side of the Atlantic. But the thing that I'd say to the people of England or to anybody else, to David, is many of the things that I worry most about were happening in the United States from 2020 to 2024. I just don't want other countries to follow us down what I think was a very dark path under the Biden administration. So in the spirit of having a good conversation, and recognizing the Secretary has a lot of things to do, unless you want to say anything else. Okay. Thank you all so much. Good to see you all.
Thank you. Even though Hamas tries to keep them in the combat zones. Well, glad to see you again.
Thank you.
Right.
After this interview, you will go immediately into a meeting with your security cabinet. Will Israel take control of all of Gaza?
We intend to, in order to assure our security, remove Hamas there, enable the population to be free of Gaza, and to pass it to civilian governance. That is not Hamas and not anyone advocating the destruction of Israel. That's what we want to do. We want to liberate ourselves and liberate the people of Gaza from the awful terror of Hamas. And you were in the Gaza Strip today.
Hello, Miss T. How you doing? Thank you for joining the stream.
You met Palestinians who are fighting Hamas because finally they see that they have a future. They can rid themselves of this awful tyranny that not only holds our hostages, but holds 2 million Palestinians in Gaza hostage. That's got to end.
Are you saying today that you will take control of the entire 26-mile Gaza Strip, as it was 20 years ago to this month in 2005?
Well, we don't want to keep it. We want to have a security perimeter. We don't want to govern it. We don't want to be there as a governing body. We want to hand it over to Arab forces that will govern it properly without threatening us and giving Gazans a good life. That's not possible with Hamas. The only way that you're going to have a different future is to get rid of this neo-Nazi army. The Hamas are monsters. Look at what they're doing to our people. Look at what they're doing to the way they massacred, raped, beheaded our people, our men and women, burned our babies. And they are really cruel to their own people, because when we try to take them away from the combat zones, they shoot them. They want people to be civilian casualties. They want a starvation policy that they themselves are trying to put into being, and we're doing everything to reverse that. They have to go. I think President Trump has said it. You know, you have to see two things in Gaza. You have to see Hamas eliminated, and you have to have the hostages released. And he's absolutely right.
There are 20 hostages that the Israelis believe are still alive. And in recent events, the closer the IDF got to them, many of them were killed. Are you prepared for that?
We're doing everything in our power to salvage the hostages. We've, you know, in the beginning, the second day of the war, I think, a senior command official in Israel said, you know, you're going to have to get used to the idea that we're not going to see any of them alive. And I said, no, I don't agree with that. I think with a combination of the right military tactics and international pressure, we can get all of them, and certainly most of them, out. So far, we got out of 255, we got 205 released. 148 of them are alive. Nobody believed that. And I believe we can get the others, but we have to combine the right tactics, military tactics. Without military pressure, nothing works.
Yesterday, I spoke with Laron Berman. He has two brothers.
Yes.
His family believes they are still alive. He said the following: my advice to you, speaking to the Prime Minister, by all means necessary, we need to bring them.
Hello, Linda. How you doing? Thank you for joining the stream. We're watching the Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, exclusive interview about Gaza. He just got through saying their plans are to take over the whole strip.
Them back for stability in the region, for the future of Israel. It's a tough decision, but we will handle everything, meaning Israel. What do you say to the families of the hostages?
That's exactly what we're trying to do. People say you can't both release the hostages and eliminate Hamas, and I disagree. I think so far we've shown that we can, and I intend to complete the job. But we have three missions. One, to eliminate the Hamas as a governing and military power in Gaza. Otherwise, there's no future for anyone. And we'll have many more kidnappings and many more hostages. Second, achieve the liberation of all our hostages. And third, make sure that Gaza doesn't pose a threat to Israel again. And we're well on our way to achieve all three. Now, there are difficulties because there's so much vilification and misrepresentation in the press. There's an attempt to put blame on Israel for the interdiction of humanitarian supplies that Hamas is interdicting, and Israel is, the international community is delivering the blame to Israel. They're doing everything to rob these food trucks. They're taking the food for themselves and then jacking up the price for the remaining supplies to their own population. That's monstrous.
We have seen some of that, and you're right about that. And you're also right that we went into Gaza while we've been here this week. And we were in the southern town of Rafah, near the Sinai Desert in Egypt. And that town has been flattened. And you have been accused of genocide. How do you respond to that?
Well, if, as Ambassador Huckabee said, if we're practicing genocide, we're surely doing a very bad job of it, because we could have, you know, basically eliminated the entire population of Gaza, but we went the other direction. We did something that no army in history ever did. We're supplying humanitarian food to the enemy's population because we distinguish between combatants and non-combatants. We put in 2 million tons of food. I mean, if we wanted to commit genocide, We wouldn't give 2 million tons of food to the population. And also the reason you see the flattened buildings is because Hamas booby traps every single building. So when we come in, we first have the population moved, even though Hamas tries to keep them in the combat zones. But after they move, and we start to move into the neighborhoods that are now populated only by terrorists, they ignite these booby traps. So what we do is we put in an APC, an armored personnel carrier, with a lot of explosives, detonate it. It sets off all the booby traps, and the buildings begin to collapse as a result of that. They're empty buildings, they're not populated buildings. Secondly, they've built this underground terror tunnel network with billions of dollars that they had. They didn't build Gaza up. They built a Gaza terror city underground. So we now detonate the tunnels. The tunnels explode, and they take down the buildings that are above the tunnels. And the reason you see this devastation is not because Israel is wiping out these structures filled with civilians.
All right, as you see, they're just listening into this interview that happened yesterday on Fox News. It was an exclusive talking about the Israeli prime minister sitting down, talking about their plan ultimately for Gaza. Wanted to bring that to you here on Live Now from Fox. We are going to transition, though, now. We're in a new hour. I'm your host, Christina Evans. We're now going to head out to some of our live events that are just...
I wanted to thank Marcel Baker. He's the one that orchestrated everything, and I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud that he's with us. And I don't know the incident, the name of the people who got hurt. I mean, because it's still under investigation, and we got to, keep it under control. So, is there any more questions that you asked about the situation?
You say you can't reveal the names of whom?
The people who was in it, who got shot, the deceased.
The civilians.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But are there 2 civilians who were shot?
Yes.
And are they deceased?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Do you know their relationship to the gunman?
They was family. I don't know how it was, what relationship they was, but it was family members. It was a domestic incident that just spread it. And I hate that this happened in our city, but I love the way all the police towns, they came in and supported it. And there were so many agencies that I can't even remember. I'm gonna let the chief tell you how many agencies was there.
Was the
how much?
Second officer?
Yeah, it was another, when they spread it across Euclid, another officer got shot. And I was at the hospital, I seen every one of them, and they was in good spirit. They might was in a little shock, but they was in stable condition, so none of them is really hurt where it was gonna be permanent.
Was the suspect armed when he was apprehended?
I don't think so.
You can't say at this time?
Yeah. So I'm gonna let Marcel Baker tell you, because he was on the scene all night, and I know he's tired, and I want him to go home and get some rest. Go ahead, man.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. After an extensive search for a suspect who had committed numerous instances of violence in the community, both in the home and against our officers, multi-agency effort was led today to apprehend the male, and it was done without incident today. Wanted to also thank those agencies for their support. The chief will elaborate on the multi-agencies that were present today. Incidents like these affect the community at large. There are people that are grieving right now, and there are officers and their families who are hurting right now, including our department. And I can't say enough that our East Cleveland Police Department, amongst the other member agencies far and wide, really put together a great effort to track down this male today.
Sir, if you would advise your life.
How much help, it seems to us that you actually had help from the community in zeroing in on this suspect.
Yes, we had a witness who witnessed the male crossing.
I hear your radio right in the microphone.
We witnessed the male crossing a yard, crossing the street and running through a yard, and we kind of zeroed in on his location. He moved his location from that point, and we zeroed in on that second location, and that's when he was apprehended in the rear of Shaw High School.
And along the way, were there civilians helping direct you to where?
That was at the first point of sight when they found him the first time.
Okay. How helpful? I don't know.
It was very helpful. They just keyed in on a direction of travel, and we were converging on the area as well.
Were there any prior encounters with this gunman, with this suspect? Have you had any issues in the past?
With this particular suspect, yes, there were incidents in the past with the suspect and or family.
Whenever you say so, was it prior instances where the suspect fired at family in the past, or did the suspect fire at police officers?
One of the family members did fire at police officers in the past.
Not the suspect, one of the suspect's family members fired at police
I have
officers.
reason to believe that one of the family members that is deceased now did fire on police in times past.
And now, from my understanding, this was a little bit before 11. One officer.
Yes, responding, he was met immediately with gunfire.
But then another, what is it, an hour and a half later, 2 hours?
Yeah, about a little under an hour and a half.
Did that second officer respond to the same address, or was it the area?
It was a secondary address. There was a shot spotter indication that pointed out at an area on Euclid Avenue, and the officers responded to that area. Upon responding to that area, the suspect fired from cover, from brush cover.
If you're going to walk through this, I can also wait for whenever you...
Hello, how you doing? I don't know what that says, but thank you for joining me.
Get to the podium, but I think we're just trying to understand the sequence of events. Now, so the suspect, you got a call. What was the call that you guys were dispatched to?
Call was a shots fired call.
Shots fired call. When you arrived, were there 2 deceased? What did you find?
When the officer arrived, he was met by gunfire. He met the suspect on the side of the house.
And then it took an hour and a half for the other officers to respond, or did officers...
Hey, what's up, Zach? How you doing? Thank you for joining me.
No, officers were responding to the scene. The shot spotter was a secondary incident. The suspect had subsequently possibly relocated by that point.
So the suspect was on the run at that point?
Yes.
And then whenever the second officer, how long did it take you guys to apprehend the suspect, and where was he apprehended?
The suspect was apprehended behind a residence adjacent to Shaw High School. He was caught a little under an hour ago. So it's been a extensive manhunt for this individual.
During the manhunt, was there ever
That's really good that they got him, though. That's good news.
a shelter-in-place order issued so residents knew what was happening?
We locked down an extensive perimeter to maintain resident safety, business owners and such.
And were they notified on their phones or any messaging?
Due to the intensity of the search, we were worried about locating the male so that he didn't take any more lives.
Can you identify the suspect?
I cannot at this time.
Is there something that you guys are waiting for before you release that identity?
We are conducting an ongoing investigation, so at some point we will release this information.
Can you say who made the 911 call? Were there other relatives at the scene who were not?
There were other relatives present at that address.
And how many altogether? We know 2 individuals were shot. They're deceased. Was there anybody else shot, or just how many altogether?
Only 2 people shot, and of the 2 people, those 2 are deceased. Other individuals at the...
Hey, what's up, Australia? Shout out to you, Philip. Shout out to Australia.
Residents were not harmed.
And it was...
I cannot provide that number at this time, though.
It was one of them who made the 911 calls.
Yes.
Do you want to introduce the chief?
Chief, I wanted to introduce our Chief of Police, Reginald Holcomb. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm just going to read the statement, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully it'll cover the series of events that took place last night until about an hour ago. Okay.
And he didn't really know what recognition of a Palestinian state would mean, given that he says it has no functioning government.
Yeah, Rory, about recognizing a Palestinian state, the UK Prime Minister warned Israel, I think that's the word, a week ago, that he would do just that. He would recognize Palestinian statehood if Israel didn't agree to a ceasefire. So it sounded like he was trying to use it to put pressure on Israel. And now it looks like certainly that did not work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, look, putting aside questions of the ethics, I suppose, of using recognition of a people as a sovereign nation as a pressure tactic on another nation, this policy of the UK and Keir Starmer's government seems to have failed on its own terms, i.e. he was trying to...
Look how Gaza look, guys. Man, that place is tore up.
To use recognition of a Palestinian state to try to persuade the Netanyahu government to back off in its conflict, in its onslaught on Gaza, and also to make sure that the Israeli government let in more aid than it is doing at the moment. On both those fronts, it seems that this has not been successful. Netanyahu's not listening to Keir Starmer, let's be frank. He's not listening to his own generals, who also warned against...
It's going to cost a lot of money to rebuild this. But we heard him say their plans are to take over that whole strip. And America is going to help them rebuild all of this when this is over.
An escalation of the war in Gaza. He's not listening to the families of the hostages who said the same thing. He's not listening to big chunks of Israeli society who want the Israeli, the war in Gaza to be wound down. So,
what's up, Shaka? How you doing? Shout out to the Netherlands.
He's certainly not listening to Keir Starmer, but there is a growing chorus of Western governments at the moment increasingly appalled, increasingly horrified by what they're seeing in Gaza, and they're starting to change policy. We have had from the German government as well today a statement saying that it is going to be stopping the supply of weaponry from Germany to Israel that might be used in Gaza. So there are changes happening, but Netanyahu is not listening at the moment.
A rare coercive measure there from Germany. Rory Challens reporting from London. Thank you very much. Still ahead on Al Jazeera, how sewage and pollution are threatening the ancient rituals of one of Iraq's...
That's crazy work right there. It's bad out there.
No-go military zones or areas under displacement orders. It's all the red on your map there. Now, here's Gaza City, which Israel plans to occupy, according to these new plans. About 900,000 Palestinians are estimated to currently be living there, and many of them have had to escape Israeli attacks several times already. Gaza City is the largest city in the Strip. Most of it has been razed to the ground in the 22 months of war. Israeli opposition leader Yair Lapid has criticized the announcement. He calls it a disaster. And the military chief of staff, Eyal Zamir, has reportedly argued against a full takeover of the Strip. Well, earlier on Friday, this happened. The Israeli military bombed Gaza City. One attack hit near Al-Shifa Hospital. That's the largest medical center in the Strip. The attack leveled a building near the maternity ward and caused people to flee. At least 21 Palestinians have been killed in separate attacks across Gaza today. Hani Mahmoud joins us now from Gaza City. So, Hani, what's happening there right now? And based on what you told me last hour, people would be at this point considering their next move and where they might go.
Absolutely, but they are left with limited options. In fact, the options that are
available are equivalent to none. There are no safe locations for nearly 1 million, already displaced more than 5 times, 7 times, 10 times in many of the cases for the families here. There is no safe place for them to go to. This declared intent, they approved the plan to reoccupy the Gaza Strip, starting with Gaza City, just the final blow to what is remain of Gaza to endure. Already people are crammed and cornered in small areas on the coastal road. Near the coastal road, we're not far from here, just a couple blocks from the point where we are broadcasting from. It's already small, crammed with many people, and people were hoping there was going to be a deal that would ensure their return to their neighborhoods and homes in the northern part and eastern Gaza City. But that did not happen. In fact, there is a growing sense of betrayal and abandonment at this moment as ceasefire talks had dragged on for so long, but without any real protection for the civilian population. There's also a growing sense of a frustration and desperation that dominate every single conversation since early hours of this morning. The only
well, I want to see where are they going to send these people? 900,000 to 1 million people. Where are they going to send these people? Shaba, I'm good, bro. Thanks. Like your channel. Keep this up. Oh, thank you. I plan on keeping it up. But that's what I want to know. Where are they going to send these people? 1 million people.
Topic and subject that people are talking about is where are they going to go? Is there any place left for them? Let's not forget the past year, almost for a whole year, people were herded from one place to another, from northern Gaza to the city of Khan Yunis, then Rafah, and then forced out of Rafah when the Israeli military invaded the entire city of Rafah. The fear now that these military operations on Gaza City, it will leave nothing for people to go back to. It will turn every remaining structure here into rubble and level the whole area. So people are not looking into something that they will come back to. It will completely be leveled and will be drawing down to their permanent displacement. And in fact, this is the sense that people had been living with since the opening weeks of this genocide. Despite all of this, there is already rationing of supplies amid of enforced dehydration, starvation. People already packing, not because they know where they want to go, but because they don't want to wait to the last minute when they are forced out of Gaza City.
Hani, if I can get you to address that question that you've just asked of where people would go. I understand that there are no great answers, maybe no answers at all right now, but people still must be wondering, what's the next move? Where can I put a roof over my head? You yourself must be asking yourself that question.
Absolutely, and we don't have an answer for that question. And unfortunately, it's not just us individually. We have families behind us, rely on our movements, rely on an update coming from us where to go and which area would be safe. Believe it or not, a lot of people here rely on journalists, where they go, because the moment we pick a place, they feel, okay, it's safe enough because we operate near areas that's supposed to be somehow safe, despite the fact there are no safety or safe zones across the Gaza Strip. But it's not just an individual decision. Movement here includes a decision for the whole entire family. And wherever you go, you are 100% responsible for it. But let's for a moment think of what the Israeli military has done over the past 22 months. It literally reduced the size of the Gaza Strip into a smaller portion, a sliver part of land on the coastal road of here, western part of Gaza City and the western part of central area that includes parts of the refugee camps in the western part and Al-Mawasi evacuation zone. We have an entire city that has turned into rubble. That's the city of Rafah, with close to 250,000 people were driven out of it into Al-Mawasi evacuation zone. So we look at already very packed, overcrowded areas that are very much resemble concentration camps, and over the past months, they evolve into a killing box. Imagine cornering large number of people in a small areas and then you start bombing them. That's the definition of a killing box that is repeating itself over and over across the Gaza Strip. And that's the status of the entire strip over the past 20 months. It evolved into concentration camp, into a killing box, and with no place to go, with no safe place. People are left with this option. Central area, already overcrowded, have already been bombed relentlessly. Mawasi is the same exact thing. We've seen some of the most notorious, horrific bombardment campaign in Al-Mawasi evacuation zone. But the Israeli military is still adamant and forcing people to go to that area. People know they're going to these areas and they are only steps away from being bombed and killed.
Hani Mahmoud reporting from Gaza City, which the Israeli military intends to fully occupy. Thank you very much to you and your...
He described it as a killing box. They're bombing the people and then only got one little section that's occupiable. But man, that area is destroyed. He described it as a killing box. That's unbelievable. But yeah, the thing is, where are those people going to go? Are they going to send a lot of those people to America? Will they let some of them go over there to Israel? They're going to have to find a place to send all those people after this is over with. What do y'all think, chat? What do you think they're going to do with the people? What do y'all think? Let me know, guys, what y'all think. Wherever they came from. Some of these comments are not being shown. It looks like Israel want to erase them. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Some of these comments are not being shown on YouTube. So I guess you got to word it a certain type of way. I can see it on the streaming service, but I can't see it on YouTube. Kevin Hill, that's where they came from. And then the thing is, will some of those people be Hamas? Because they say over and over and over again that they really don't know, they can't tell the difference between Hamas and between the citizens. So will some of Hamas get moved right along with the people? See, that's the thing about those countries. It's hard to know. It's hard to tell because those terrorists or whatever they call them, they blend right in with the regular people, and you don't know who's who. That's why it's very difficult to identify who they actually going after. It's hard to tell. No uniforms. They dress like regular civilians. That's why if you're an American, you got to be blessed. And you're not going through nothing like that. I see a lot of people complaining about America and about their situation in America. But those people, they are really in a bad situation. You got to realize you are blessed. If you're going through something in America right now, watching this should make you realize how good you really got it in America. But we got it good out here. I know a lot of people that are complaining about what's going on in America, and once they see this or that should make them think totally different. Because in America, you got the ability to go get a job. You know, you got the ability to go make a living. They don't have the ability to do anything. They can't even feed themselves. It's crazy. And then a lot of those sites where they got food at over there, those people gotta walk or run miles and miles and miles to even get there. And then there could be a possibility that when they get to those sites where they're dropping off the food, that there's nothing there. That's why parents, if you got teenagers and like younger kids that's acting out, not being appreciative, not wanting to get a job, kids that don't want to listen to you. You need to show them what's going on in other countries. Show them what's going on in Gaza. Really show it to them as a case study to let them know how blessed they really are. You know, and then hopefully they'll realize that they're acting out and doing all this for nothing. That it's actually people that got it 10,000 times worse than what they got. It should actually make you feel like you complaining and you're really doing something you're not supposed to be doing. It should really make them feel like that. Super spoiled. What would you do if your neighbor comes into your house and tell you what you can and cannot do? What would I do? It'd be a problem. Yeah, it'd be a problem. It'd be a big problem. Like, what are you doing? What you trying to come over here and tell me what to do in mine? Oh, you better get somewhere. Yeah, it's gonna be a problem. That's the ultimate disrespect. A neighbor try to come run your house. Correct. Yeah, it'll be a problem. But yeah, I think that's it, guys. I appreciate y'all for joining me. Y'all could be anywhere else, but y'all came in and kicked it with me. And I really, really, really appreciate it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I will be going live later again. If you don't know, I go live when I'm exercising. So I will go, that's probably about 2 or 3 o'clock if everything goes right. So I appreciate y'all for joining me. To the next one. Y'all have a great morning, great day. Hamas is thinking just that. All right, appreciate y'all for joining me. To the next one. I'm out.